last 15 years, I have been working on creating visual content myself, and I've gone through the entire process of doing the traditional photography, outsourcing it to CGI agencies, doing outdoor shoots, and then finally moving to the 3D industry. So at first, I was using these traditional methods, but eventually I started using Imagine to produce custom content. So we built a team of 3D artists to improve and streamline the content creation process at scale. So through my experiences, I have learned that the challenges faced by the industry as a whole should not require us to reinvent the wheel. So I'm going to highlight a few challenges with each approach. Can you move on to the other slide?
I did it.
Challenges with traditional photography. So, I mean, coordination is a big issue. It requires coordination between various peoples and teams that are involved. There are long timelines. It shares from getting the product in place to setting up a studio, photographing the products, and then eventually doing post-process. Of course, it is expensive from hiring the team of photographers, stylists, retouch artists, and then top of that, either building a studio yourself or renting out a space to do a photography. Logistics and location shoots are, I mean, it's a big nightmare. From doing location recce to logistics in getting the products in the studio, wait for that ideal time of the day to do photo shoot. Depending on the human resources, we cannot even ignore the wear and tear that is involved in, while managing logistics. Dealing with CGI agencies. I mean, when we were doing the content production through traditional photography, we realized that there are a few challenges. And now let's move on to getting the content production through CGI agencies. It was challenging, of course. First, coordination becomes cumbersome, as usually there are two teams involved, one at the CGI agency side and one on the customer side. So this leads to a lot of back and forth and communication and coordination problems between the both parties. So this requires a lot of time and consumes a lot of bandwidth. So for example, like even if I have to change like a lamp or getting a product placed from one scene to the other, sometimes it requires hours or even days to get the final output.
Right.
There is limited control. When it comes to content production, you need to either delegate instruction or give direction or relaying your information via mood boards. So it was a challenge when it comes to getting the content, and which can result in lack of control over the final output. Thirdly, it can be very difficult to ensure that the agency understands and speaks your brand language. So as a content creation or production, it requires deep understanding of your brand, and everybody has their own perspective, and they have an eye for design. So having that control within your own organization is of utmost importance, because here we are not talking about written content. Here we are talking about visuals. So understanding that brand language and understanding the brand guideline within your own organization is important. So while there was a progression from traditional photography to CGI agencies, we thought of building a platform, like a 3D platform, which could solve most of the challenges which we were facing in the earlier solutions. So of course, it solved a lot of problems, and as the world is progressing, we are continuing to solve more problems. So with the 3D platform, we have realized that the challenge is, first of all, the perception. Since now I'm helping our users, I understand that they do not understand the word 3D.Maybe the word 3D sounds complicated, or it's difficult to comprehend 3D modeling. So perception is a big challenge, which I feel that people these days are a little hesitant to adopt a 3D platform. That is why we say, at Imagine, we make 3D simple. Bandwidth is another challenge. So managing 3D in-house or even doing 3D, it can either be your core business or getting getting to involve a 3D platform is better. Lastly, there are issues of not knowing where to begin. Again, it's a matter of perception or lack of knowledge. People are unsure where to start this 3D modeling or to go the digital route. So, I mean, these are a few challenges which we feel that adopting a 3D platform is what people are facing. So now as the world is progressing, the challenges with 3D, now we've implemented AI on top of 3D technology. And I would like Preet to talk more about on this subject, as he's an engineer himself and he's working closely on this, and he's a subject matter expert. So Preet, over to you.
I'm changing over to Preet right now.
Okay, you guys can see my screen, right?
Mm-hmm.
Thanks, Surbi. So one of the challenges that Surbi mentioned with 3D platforms, and this is something that we come across with a lot of customers. I mean, as Surbi manages most of the customer relationships, I work closely with her to understand what are some of the challenges that our existing customers are facing with 3D platforms. And the number one thing that comes up is not having enough bandwidth. What we understand is medium and large size companies will have smaller teams that need to do a lot. And when they need to do a lot, that is where they're often choked on bandwidth, where they're like, we want to be able to do all of this, but we don't have the time or the resources to do it. At that point, what we said is, hey, maybe there is a way to automate a lot of the content production while giving you guys the ability to go in and edit it, right? So that is where we started marrying AI and 3D and teaching AI tools how to use our 3D platform. Now, as we've been implementing AI over the past 8 to 9 months, and we've been working on it for about 18 months, what we've realized is there are a few challenges that are in general in common with the people using AI or just AI technology in general. One, it's very hard to describe what you want with text, right? So the input information is pretty complicated. So getting personalized content based on text is really tough. And then the question of being able to bring your product into that scene, that's something that AI still doesn't enable you to do properly. The second challenge is there's so much buzz around it. There's so many platforms, there's new tools. I think I read a report where there's like an average of about 85 to 100 tools based on AI that come out every day, right? And that's where it gets really confusing. And most of them are point solutions that will only solve for a very specific small problem. So kind of not really giving you an enterprise solution that takes care of most of the content production. The third part, I mean, I'm sure we're all aware of the big strike that happened in Hollywood for all the writers went on strike. There is this major challenge around ownership and licensing. So it's still not clear because the legislation is not there yet to be able to understand who owns that content, even though the software may say, hey, you own what you produce, but where is that data really coming from? What has it been learning on, right? And that is the part that we'll see down the years slowly being solved, right? And then, like I said, with text input, control is a big challenge. You have very little control because if you change one prompt, your entire scene changes. Now, what do? Right? And then today, AI is great for imagery, but you still can't do all of the interactive experiences like augmented reality or configurators or any of those things. And then whenever a brand is representing their products online, they have a vision, they have a story, they have guidelines around which they communicate. That again is a challenge, is teaching AI to understand your brand guidelines, right? Just saying mid-century modern can mean 500 different things, may not necessarily replicate how your brand is perceived.